Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Thriving Talk. It's good to be back after a while. And what's going on with you?
Everything is going well. I think we are a little delayed with this episode because of my travel. Been a busy year so far. More travels coming up next week. But yeah, otherwise things are going well. Good. How about you?
I'm doing good too.
You're doing good?
School is going well, so
Okay. Good to be back and record another episode.
right. Let's get right into the episode. So before that, quick reminder that Thriving Talk is available on all the different platforms like YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast. So make sure to follow or subscribe to Thriving Talk on your favorite platform so you can get all the new episodes.
By the way, Google Podcast is gone. Do you know that?
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah, they retired. They just got rid of that app. So now, if you are using Google Podcasts, you have to use, you can use YouTube Music. There is a podcast option over there.
Okay.
Yeah, so they, I think it's gone or it's going away.
Was it because like people aren't using it?
It's very typical with Google. Like, they normally,
Yeah.
sunset applications after a while.
Yeah.
There has been many which has happened like that. But I thought this was a very good app. Anyway, I used to use it. But yeah, as Tim said, you can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, pretty much all major platforms. So yeah, let's go move ahead. Get into the topic.
Let's get into the topic today. So today's topic is simplicity. So to start out, what is like simplicity in like a definition? Like what is simplicity?
Yeah. For all our listeners, if you had been following, we had been talking about some topics related to spiritual disciplines in the last few episodes, and we took a break in the middle. We're talking about travel and other stuff, but we are back. So simplicity can be considered as another spiritual discipline, which is more in the category of outward disciplines. So if you remember, outward disciplines are those disciplines when practice will be visible outside. So there are disciplines which are more inward or internal, which may not be visible further, but this is something which is outward. So simplicity is something which will be visible outside. So it's a outward discipline. And the thing is, when we are too much attached to the things of this world, then what happens is we cannot practice simplicity as easily. Okay? So what is simplicity? That's the question. So let me get to it. So simplicity is making the journey of this life with just baggage enough. That's something which Charles Warner said. So you can take a lot of excess baggages. So, as I travel, one thing I have noticed is I can travel a little light or I can travel with a lot of baggages. For example, sometimes I get nervous that I may not find a place to do the laundry and I will run out of clothes. So I carry extra baggage. But then sometimes I realize that I really didn't need it because, I find somewhere a good place to get the clothes washed. So when we are traveling for a few weeks, and then you take a lot of stuff in your along with you which you may never use.
Right.
Now I think with every time I travel, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to really figure out what are those essential things needed and carry less. But again, that's that's not the simplicity we are talking about in totality. But we all understand that we can make things complicated. We can have a lot of baggage with us. But simplicity, will lead us to a place where we only carry enough in life. So how do you define it? The discipline of simplicity is an inward reality resulting in an outward lifestyle. What goes on inside our hearts impacts the world around us, and who are we in it? Now, Richard Forster, who wrote about this book about spiritual disciplines, he talks about in simplicity says, of all the disciplines, simplicity is the most visible and therefore the most open to corruption. Paul talks about simplicity in a different way. He says about something called as contentment. In fact, in Bible, in First Timothy chapter 6, he says about, if you read that portion, it's here about contentment with godliness is great gain. And he talks about how if we have food and covering or clothing, we should be content. So it also goes into this realm of whether we are leading a life with our needs being fulfilled or our wants being fulfilled. So there are needs and there are wants. Do you realize what is the difference between need and want?
Yeah, some like water is something you need, but like um something you want could be like more money or something like that.
Okay, I will give you an example. Some people need a phone,
Right.
but they are very particular that I need the latest iPhone or the latest Samsung phone or something like that, the latest and the greatest. That's
Yeah.
not a need.
It's a want.
That's just a want. Because the previous version you are having with you is meeting your need. There is no problem at all. But something tells you that you need to have the latest. So a lot of times we make decisions about life not based on need but based on our desires, our wants. That's why a lot of people end up in debt too, because they end up going after things, buying things which they cannot actually afford, but loans are available, so they buy it and then they end up in a lot of trouble. So simplicity also means leading a life which is, you can call as humble life.
Yeah.
But there is always this temptation of our minds getting into a place where we really want to have a lot of stuff in life, and lot of things. And we are not happy with what we have. We look at others, we compare with others, and we say we don't have that, we don't have this. But so as I said, simplicity in its core is something, it should be internal, where you are satisfied and happy with what you have.
So like how does the Bible talk about simplicity? Or like what's its view on simplicity?
Bible has a lot of things to talk about it in reality if you look at it. Like, when I read like Luke chapter 12, 15, it says Jesus told them, watch out and be on guard against all greed because one's life is not in the abundance of his possessions. So basically, it says that guard yourself against every kind of greed. Like life is not measured by how much you own.
Yeah.
So sometimes people think that the number of things I have is what is going to define who I am, right? But that's not the reality. So we have to be really watchful, and we have to protect ourselves against greed. That's what it says. Then the other thing is, we spend energy and strength in storing things which we will never use. So a lot of people, in US, there are some very surprising statistics. One big business is the storage business. So what is storage business? I know there are a lot of people who use storage for the good purpose. I'm not talking about that. But people, they have houses, but still they cannot store things. So they take storage as another additional rental place and they store stuff over there. But they never go back and look at it, so take it out. So a lot of times, when people have a decent sized home, what happens is they fill that house, and then all of a sudden they feel like this house is small. So then what they do is they look for a bigger house. After some time, that is also getting filled. So this is a very common problem. So the point here is we have to guard ourselves against all the greed, right? We need things which we need, but we should not be like operating on this realm of fulfilling all our wants. Then Bible also tells that do not accumulate for yourself things on this earth. Matthew 6:19-24 is what it says. Do not store up, and do not do things so that others can see, or you can overindulge in stuff. So the placement of treasures is connected to where our heart will be. Like if our heart is here, we will be like putting all our treasures here. But Bible tells us to put treasures in heaven. You cannot serve both God and money. That's another thing. Bible clearly teaches us. So Bible in itself has a lot of things to say, but I think the primary or the key thing is that we need to have contentment in life, and we need to get out of this greed and this desire to fulfill all our wants, go after things, chase things, and accumulate a lot of things, and also accumulating a lot of things for this in this world. And then when you have a lot of stuff around, it also makes you, I don't know, makes you nervous, anxiety, stress. There are a lot of other things, and your life is not, it's a very cluttered, it can be.
So, why is it important that we have simplicity in our lives? Like, why should we have it?
Simplicity, first of all, is something which Bible teaches us, commands us. That's number one. Number two, we came into this world with nothing, and we are not going to take anything out of this world. So now we have this life where we can lead a simple life and be a blessing for others, or we can just accumulate everything for us and leave everything behind and go. So it's a choice we can make. So, for example, if my lack of indulgence in things of this world can provide education to someone, food for someone, can make somebody go to bed not with an empty stomach, right? Isn't that a good thing with life versus just having a lot of gadgets or stuff which I may not even use? So why it is important? For many reasons, and the main thing is, a lot of times when people go into this lack of contentment with what life, they are always chasing after big things. So that comes with a cost. There is an expense related to that. And then when they are not able to find satisfaction in what they have, they will always be chasing after that, and they will be missing a lot of other good things which they can actually enjoy in life. I think one of the biggest joy we can have in our life is when we give and bless somebody, impact someone's life. Right? So I want to simply ask you a question. You have been given a choice. A donut costs, I don't know, $2, for example.
Okay.
It's very sugary. And you know that it's not all donuts are like, most of them are not that healthy. So it's $2.
Right.
But for 20 cents, okay, tell me how many, okay, if a meal costs 20 cents, for an example, for feed a child, how much it would be for $2? 5, 10. 10 meals. So now just think for a second. If you just forego that desire to have a donut, you could be, like that 20 is like I'm saying, there is a number which is very low, like Feed My Starving Children, organization like that,
Yeah.
they do food packaging and all. So they say, $1 can buy this many meals. I haven't looked at it, but I saw recently too. So anyway, let's just assume it's 20, or maybe it's not more than 40 for sure, right? I know that. But it's way cheaper. So the question is now, what do you feel happy about? Do you feel happy that you ate a donut, or do you feel more happy that you are able to feed 10 meals?
Right.
Okay? But for some people, still eating the donut makes them happy, whoever caring for 10 meals for children who can't eat. That means our heart there is some problem, right? But if we are saying, I'm not saying don't eat donut, I'm not saying that in life you should not do anything. But if we are saying, I'm going to just eat simple food, I'm going to just be simple, but I'm going to bless someone, right? I think that is going to be a very blessed experience. So that is where, practically, a lot of people can really benefit from that. So I was just going to look it up, because as I'm talking, I want that numbers to be a little bit accurate. But so what happens is, if you really look at the numbers. I just wanted to look at some statistics here, right? I don't know whether I will be able to find out that quickly, but I saw a card, you know, and that card had a number which was really surprising, right? So yeah. So my point here is larger is, yeah. So you can actually impact a lot of lives by taking a sacrificial step. So that's where it boils down to.
So, what are some practical steps to we having simplicity?
Simplicity. Okay. So yeah, I can get that. Maybe anybody can go and look at it, but the oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong place. So I should have been looking at feed my starving children. So I was looking at the wrong place. I know our time is going ahead, but I just wanted to make sure that um, my facts are fairly accurate, right? So what happens is, okay. So practical steps. I don't know. I saw a card the other day which actually had some statistics about how many cents it takes to feed one child, and I am sure it was way less than, you know, way less than that. So, for example, okay, so let me give some statistics. For $106, it can feed a child for a whole year, right? So that's a big thing, for $106. So basically, I think my numbers are accurate. So if you have to talk about 3 meals, so it's one day's meal is not even costing 40 cents, right? Yeah. So I think my calculation was correct. So let's get back to the question, the last thing, or the thing you were asking, practical implications.
Right.
So simplicity will declutter your life. That's number one. Number two, I would say, you can use resources for the expansion of God's kingdom or blessing other people. So simplicity doesn't mean that you don't save money or have money, but it is your attitude towards money and how you use it. And we need to understand that everything in this world is temporary, right? All the riches of this world. And money can become an idol for us. And accumulating stuff, electronics, all this stuff can become an idol for us. And it can also make us spiritually blind. So what happens is we need to remove all those complicated, confusing things from our life. And we should think about buying things which are useful versus status symbol.
Right.
Right? A lot of times in this society, this community, like today's world, people are going after a status symbol, but we need to stay away from that temptation of buying for status symbols. So those are the things I would say declutter your life. Practical implications are those.
So, what are your final thoughts to end off this episode?
The final thoughts is we should evaluate our life and see where do we stand with this whole thing. Are we going after our wants, or are we mostly operating on our needs? Are we just spending a lot of money for our own indulgence, or are we caring and thinking about others? How are we using the resources which God has given to us? So let me conclude by saying another quote from Richard Foster. It says, simplicity is the only thing that sufficiently reorients our lives so that possessions can be genuinely enjoyed without destroying us.
Right.
So our possessions, the things we accumulate, can actually destroy us. But if we want to really enjoy it, we need to have a freedom from that. We should not be attached to it. We should not be slaves to it, any of those things. We should be actually using it as we need, and that should not be controlling us. We should be controlling. So for that, we need to really develop a simple lifestyle, and that for that simplicity will help us.
So thank you for sharing, and to all our listeners, my dad really shared why simplicity is important and why we should have it in our lives. So thank you for sharing, and to all our listeners, thank you for listening. In the coming weeks, we will be coming back with more episodes, and make sure to stay tuned to all our different platforms like Spotify, YouTube. So stay tuned on that. And my dad also has a monthly newsletter in which he shares a lot of good information, and make sure to subscribe to that newsletter. The link will be in the show notes. But with that, we will wrap up this episode. May God bless you all, and
Yeah, also subscribe to our channels, and wherever you are listening to this, that way we will be encouraged. If you liked or if you are benefited, please leave a comment. That way we know that this is helping other people, which will motivate and encourage us to do more episodes on a timely manner.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all, and God bless you all.
God bless you.